safe. Short hollow, right? Whatever you want. I'll play it.
It's called away.
How is it that the festival Siddur doesn't have the Shabbat service? You have to go back to the Shabbat Siddur.
Well, the Shabbat, it's not festival today. So it's called away.
Right, okay.
So, bless you.
Bless you.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if that was the sneeze or not. Test. Yeah, there we go. At least that tech works. Shabbat shalom, everyone. Hello. Hi. Sorry, we're a little late. We actually got a new owl, brand new owl. Very exciting because we were told that it was cloudy on the other end, so we got a brand new owl. The owl is here, and hardware is working, but the software isn't working. So if you're watching us on the thank you. If you're watching us on the live stream, hello, and Shabbat Shalom to you as well. Hey. We are going to be able to use the computer. It's just not going to have the good eye for everyone to see the room. So today, we'll be able to hear you on the computer, and you'll be able to hear us, but not as well as with the owl. And hopefully by next week, everything will be working. We can't figure out how to log into the new software. So we have an older computer and a new piece of hardware, and it's not working. But yay, new owl. I knew you wanted to hear that the first thing this morning on Shabbat and on Chag, and I'm glad I was able to. Exactly. It's true. Oh, the owls, good connection. Very nice little FAU connection. That was true. If only it wasn't for that last point. It's true. That shot was amazing. All right. Woo. Hope you're having a nice Shabbat so far. Hope that those of you who were at the beach service, it was lovely. There was a lot of sand. I found sand a lot. I realized yesterday that it had gathered in my sock. When I took my sock out, it was like a whole bunch of sand that came out of my sock. Did you have sand in your socks? You weren't too sandy in your socks? No, I was sandy in my socks. Okay, better now though. Well, we're going to continue with our morning service like we usually do. We're just going to don't forget on the Amidah which we did already, but we are switching to Morid Hatal since we transitioned because we're in Pesach, and we're going to be reading a little Torah from a special section. We'll be discussing a special section of Torah this morning, and we'll do Hallel because it's Chol HaMoed, Pesach. So, but we continue where we usually do on page 170.
Mode ani lefanecha melecha evekayam shechezarta binishmati bechemla Rabba emunatecha
Mode ani lefanecha
Melecha evekayam shechezarta binishmati
bechemla
Rabba
emunatecha
Rabba emunatecha
Nisim b'chol yom, our daily blessings and miracles, 175.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר נתן לשכל ובינה להבחין בין יום ובין לילה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם פוקח עברים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מתיר אסורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם זוקף גפופים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם רוקע הארץ על המים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המכין מצעדי גבר.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם מלביש ערומים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם הנותן ליעף כוח.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המעביר שינה מעיני ותנומה מעפעפי.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני בן חורין.
אמן. אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שעשני ישראל. You're doing okay.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עוזר ישראל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen.
It was a long evening yesterday because we had
I
the...
thought you skipped one. I thought I heard you say Ben Chorin already.
No, I
And then
don't
was
think
like,
I
that's not-
did.
I don't do that one.
I don't think so.
Okay. I gotta go back to the beach.
But it was a long day because we were at the beach and we had to schlep all that heavy stuff back to the car.
Yeah.
That was a lot. No, we had help, but it was still heavy. Psukei de Zimra, 183.
Baruch she'amar ve'aya olam.
Baruch Hu,
Baruch hu sefer Eshit.
Baruch Omer Ve'oseh,
Baruch gozer umkayem.
Baruch Merchem Al
Baruch
Haaretz,
merachem al habriot.
Baruch Mashalem Sachar Tov L'Re'ah,
Baruch chalal v'kayam al-netzach.
Baruch Podeh Matzil, Baruch Shemo.
Blessed is the one who spoke and the world came to be.
Blessed is the one,
Blessed is the one who continually authors creation.
blessed is the one whose word is
Blessed
deed,
is the one who decrees and fulfills.
blessed is the one who's compassionate towards the world,
Blessed is the one who's compassionate towards all creatures.
blessed is the one who words the reverence.
Blessed is the one who say, I can't read. Blessed is the one who exists for all time, ever enduring.
Blessed is the one who redeems and saves. Blessed is God's name.
Baruch atah Adonai, Melech mehula batishbacho. These are not my glasses.
This is not my office. Just want to continue with Elenu?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. We can, though, because we're going to be doing some Psalms later, we can continue with the Baruch Hu on page 195. And together we stand.
Lai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch
Adonai
HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
HaMevorach, HaMevorach
לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצר אור וחושך עושה שלום ובורא את הכל. Please be seated. We continue on page 199. We give thanks for the sages and teachers who brought us understanding of your will. Gratefully, we recall the lawgivers and prophets, the psalmists and sages of Israel, and joyfully remember that from the dawn of Israel's life, we would turn to you and find purpose. We continue on page 200.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed.
201.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
202.
ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית על כנף תחיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם, ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני
אלוהיכם emet. Our song of redemption, Mi Chamocha, even more exciting on Pesach. Yay! And it was fun at the beach, too. I mean, to stand there and do Mi Chamocha at the beach. So, did I tell you, by the way, I had a lot of sand in my sock? Did I mention that? Yeah. 204.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, shira chadasha, Shivchu gelim l'shimcha sefatayam, yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu ve'amru Adonai himloch le'olam va'ed. Tzu Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael, Uftei chinumecha, Yehuda ve'Yisrael, Go aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo, Kedosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
Amidah 205.
Adonai sifatai tiftachu fi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, and my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elokei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elokei Abraham, Elokei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Kodnei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo Ve'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע,
מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים.
צומח נופלים ורופא חולים,
ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות.
ומידו מלך,
מלך ממית ומחיה,
ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה
אתה להחיות
להחיות
הכל.
ברוך אתה אדוני,
מחיה הכל. קדושה 208.
נקדש את שמך
שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום,
הכתוב על יד נביאך,
וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש קדוש קדוש, אדוני צבאות,
מלוך כל הארץ.
כבודו.
אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. היכנו אלוהינו, הוא אבינו מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם,
ימלוך אדוני לעולם. איך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש.
ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש,
לא ימוש
לעולם ועד.
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך. לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור,
לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך.
ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
As always, we continue now here on page 210 through page 219, where you can read through the text or, of course, offer your own prayers, your own thoughts. Today, since we are in the middle of Chol Noed and we're in Pesach, please make sure to add the insertion that's on page 213 at the top of the page for Ya'aleh V'Yavo, to make sure that we can connect that since we are in Chol Noed Pesach. Once again, 210 through 219. When you're finished, please be seated.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. יהיו לרצון, יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך. אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, אדוני צורי, וגואלי. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer, my rock and my redeemer, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Yihyu liratzon, yihyu liratzon imrei fi vegion libi lefanecha.
We are going to continue now with Hallel. We're going to do Hallel Aleph, which can be found on page 266.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et hallel. Hallelu et Adonai kol goyim shabchuhu shabchuhu kol ha'omim ki gavar aleinu chasto ve'emet Adonai le'olam hallelujah. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam
chasto
yom mana Yisrael ki le'olam
chasto
Yomruna v'zaharon ki le'olam chasto Yomruna Yirei Adonai ki le'olam.
Ki le'olam chasdo.
Eli ata ve'odeka Elohai aromemeka Eli ata ve'odeka Elohai aromemeka Hodul Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasdo. Hodul Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasdo.
Do our blessing to close Hallel, which is on page 277. Let's read that together in the English. All your works shall praise you, Adonai, our God, and your faithful ones, the righteous who do your will, and all your people, the house of Israel, thank you in joyous song, and bless, praise, glorify, exalt, extol, sanctify, and proclaim the sovereignty of your name. For it is good to give you thanks and sing praises to your name, because throughout all time to eternity you are God. Praise to you, Adonai, sovereign, praised in song. Baruch atah Adonai, melech mehulal batishbachot. We turn back now for our Torah service, page 244. You have a question? Yes. Passover question, yes.
What happens if you live in Australia and it's now winter? Do you say Mashi Barua, or do you still say Mawudi?
They use,
For Israel, so
everything's based on Israel,
everything's based on Israel.
so it doesn't matter where you are. Yeah. But it works for us here too. I mean, we always have Morid Gashim though, constantly.
The northern hemisphere closest.
Yeah, but everything's based, it doesn't matter where you live. It's based on Israel. Yeah.
So here's something really confusing. If you go to fast, and just hear me out 1 second.
Yeah.
If it's, just say like a summertime fast for some reason, and you live in Alaska, is it like a 23, like, if you live in Alaska in winter, you only fast for like sunrise to sunset, which would be like an hour? Like, how does that work?
It's so for the people who don't have the regular day of daylight and darkness, usually the comment is that you follow the closest place that does. So if you live in Alaska and you only have 2 hours of daylight, whatever is the closest city to your city that follows it better, and then you follow that system. That's usually what you do, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense, right? You would only fast for 2 hours, right? Because the sunlight, or there's no sunlight. Aren't there some places that aren't any? There's no darkness at all in some places in some parts of the year. So yeah. So you find the closest spot.
Or don't live in Alaska.
Yeah, exactly. What's that? You could do sunset to sunset, yeah. However, it's true. You just the calculating is more difficult though. So that's why they usually go by the closest city that functions. He isn't. Yeah, that's true. I thought he was a dentist. You were first an engineer, and then you're a dentist? We got to add a nickname for you. We call you Dr. Bob. Now we got to call you Engineer Dr. Bob. So a lot of wrong engineer. That was very good with your tutu. That was very good. Excellent. Torah service, 244.
Ein kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, ve'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut, כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו
Vashalom. Please stand.
על הרחמים היטיבה מצונך את ציון. תמנה חומות ירושלים, כי בכל לבד בטחנו. מלך אל רם ונישא, אדון עולמים.
246.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה, תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדלו אדוני איתי, ונרומם שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני הגדולה והגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד.
Shalom,
יכול
Shabbat
בשמיים
Shalom.
ובארץ,
Shabbat
יכול
Shalom.
בשמיים
The engineer was in there too. That's fun.
ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, והמית נעשה לכל ראש. רוממו,
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat
רוממו,
Shalom.
אדוני
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat
אלוהינו,
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. It's a different toast.
והשתחוו,
different toast.
לדום רגליו קדושו. רוממו,
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 רוממו.
אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו, והשתחוו, להר קודשו, כי קדוש. כי קדוש אדוני
Eloheinu. Were you doing like me, Tarzan, you Jane? Is that what you're doing?
That's not even turning on.
I know, I saw. Please be seated. Oh, there we go. Okay. Start. Which video is it going to use? Oh, okay, it's using this video. It's not a very exciting video, but it's a video. Okay, we are in a special section of the Torah since it is Chol Moed. Chol Moed. So we are in Exodus 33:12. It's actually in Ki Tisa, so you can look for Ki Tisa if you want to. So it's in Exodus. Look for Ki Tisa, and it'll be easier to find it that way. So look for Ki Tisa, but it is 33:12 is where we are. My mic won't turn off. Did it turn off? Test, 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 test. Usually it like mutes. Test, test. It's not muting anymore. It's good. 33:12. singing that song. What's that song? Wait, is it in the car? Is that
Yeah.
one? No, you were singing it, now it's in my head too. What's that song? That's right. Sing that song. All the time. Everyone there? I don't know what page it's on. It's 3312. I don't know. I have a different book than you. I don't know if you knew that. All right, great. I don't know. Are they? I hope the words are the same. Who would like to do the Aliyah for us on this Shabbat morning? Anyone do Aliyah feeling? Yeah? Please come up. Yamod.
Reuven Moshe ben David.
Reuven Moshe ben David על התורה.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
ברוך אדוני יברך לעולם ועד.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kervanu la'avodato v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayomer Moshe el Adonai re'eh ata omer elai ha'al et ha'am hazeh ve'ata lo hodadati et asher tishlach imi ve'ata amarta yedaticha v'shem ve'gam matzata chen be'enai ve'ata imna matzati chen be'necha הודיעני נא את דרכך וידעך למען אמצא חן בעיניך וראה כי עמך הגוי הזה ויאמר פניי ילכו ועניתי לך ויאמר אליו אם אין פניך הולכים אל תעלנו מזה ובמה יוודע איפה כי מצאתי חן בעיניך אני ועמך הלא בלכתך עמנו ונפלינו אני ועמך מכל העם אשר על פני האדמה.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Amen. So we are going to raise and dress the Torah now. That can be found on 252. We're going to bring our regular crew up. You're going to raise and dress crew. You'll dress? All right, great. 252, together we stand.
וזאת התורה שעשה משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. תורה, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה. Torah, 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 ציווה לנו משה.
You got that down. Well done. Yeshua koach. Yeshua koach. Well done. Please be seated. I think it's just Greg, right? I'll put it on to me. It's great. No one wants that for their Shabbat. no one wants that. We're still in the same place that we discussed a moment ago. So it's 3312. 3312. Do you have a question? Shmini happens next week. Yeah. The chronology sort of flow of the Torah gets paused by it's Bible interruptus. That is an interesting term. Yes, thank you. Yes, by the major holidays. So which major holidays cause Bible interruptus? Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Yeah. So those five are Bible interruptus. That's a new term that we just discovered here. Thank you very much. And why do they get to be the ones that interrupt? How come Tu B'Shvat doesn't interrupt? I love Tu B'Shvat. How come Hanukkah doesn't interrupt? Right, the Oraita. They are from the Torah. So those are Torah holidays. Literally, the Torah mentions them. So because of that, they get to interrupt everything if they want to. We got lots of hands. Yes. Yes, I'm colorblind, so we just took the wrong one. I'm just kidding. It's only out of convenience because lucky enough here at CBI we have many a Torah, so we can keep the right Torah at the right spot in the chronology, and we can roll the other Torah if we need to roll it to special spots. So it's a thank you that we have several Torahs that we can play with, which is also, by the way, if you ever took an exploration tour of the Torahs in the sanctuary, you'd see some of them are set for Rosh Hashanah, some are set for Ad Bereshit, some are set for Chol HaMoed Sukkot. Actually, I think those are the three, and then there are two that are actually in the cycle correctly. We do that on purpose because that way, when we get to the high holidays, we already know which Torah is at the spot for Rosh Hashanah, which Torah portion. So yeah, which is nice because, for instance, Rosh Hashanah, it's actually just called the Rosh Hashanah Torah because the first time we use it on the first day is for the Akedah, and the second day is for creation, but it's really not that far apart. So it's a Rosh Hashanah Torah. It's not hard to find the beginning of the Torah because you just have to roll to the beginning of the Torah. Yes. Nitzavim is set already. We usually have a little post-it in there that tells us, or you can also check it and see it's at Nitzavim. So we have one at Nitzavim because also Nitzavim is hard to find because it's all the way at the end of the Torah. So want to have that rolled rather than have to roll it back and forth. So great question. Glad you noticed. It's just a matter of convenience because we have several Torahs. So if you only had one Torah, then in a congregation, which happens a lot, then we would have to roll it back and forth all the time. But we don't have to because we have this luxury. Yes?
What determines the section of this week's Torah portion that you read, and are all Reform synagogues reading the same portion?
Right. So Cantor Muchnick decides. I'm just kidding. No. It's just decided. It's the section that you're supposed to read. It's what you're just supposed to do. Now the Reform movement does different versions. Maybe the Reform movement maybe isn't doing this. This is the more traditional section of reading that's done, but it's just what's decided for us. This is why Torah portions go in the flow that they do. It's why they're chopped up the way that they're chopped up. It's just the Torah portion that every year this will be the same Torah portion that we do on Chol Moed Pesach. Every year there's a reading for the first day of Pesach. It's just the same. It's the reading that I always think of it like the major holidays show up like a relative to your house with their suitcase, right? They come in with the suitcase and then they take over the room and they take over the space that you're in, and they take over your life essentially. And then when they go, they put everything back in the suitcase and they leave. So it's sort of like these Torah portions just show up with the suitcase and they open them up and they disrupt the flow of everything. They bring their own stuff with them, and then you zip it back up and then they leave. And you're like, okay, now we're back into the lifestyle. After, it's so nice when guests come, but it's also so nice when the guests leave because then you go back to, it's cleaner, it's more organized, you go back to your routine as opposed to entertaining the guests when they're there. So that's why. It's just said. It's the same. So I'll tell you for sure at an Orthodox synagogue, they're reading this now. I don't know about the Reform movement. They changed a little bit. Particularly, we also don't do haftarah in this when we study this together. On our service doesn't have haftarah. Haftarot also changed even more dramatically based on the holiday. So usually a haftarah is connected to a Torah portion, but if a holiday shows up, sometimes the Torah stays the same, but the haftarah changes on occasion. And our Reform movement really, really loves to change haftarot. So we sometimes do a completely different haftarah than anyone else's. But that's the Reform movement decision. And we decide to follow whatever we like. We like the Reform sometimes, we like the non-Reform sometimes. It varies, but it's just decided for us. I could tell you what I have to look it up, but I could tell you I actually could tell you that the Chol HaMoed Sukkot section, Sukkot, is the same thing we're doing for Pesach. The Chol Moed Pesach and the Chol Moed Sukkot is this same thing that we're doing. It's the same section. So, because if we're not going to get there, but towards the end of the section we're supposed to read, it mentions several different holidays. So that's why we choose this one. Does that make sense? It's not a very good answer, but it's just the one that we know. It's just the answer. Yeah. Any other questions before we start to read a little bit? No? All right, let's do our blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. We should have said that already because we were talking about Torah, but it's okay. What are we going to do? Repeat it. Yeah, it's great. Let's go back and talk about what we just talked about again, and then we'll do that. All right. Who wants to read a little bit for us? Anyone want to read? Our official reader isn't here. Their official reader isn't here. You know, how dare they go visit their family and enjoy their time together at Pesach? I'll have to talk to them.
I think I signed up.
You sign the permission slip for Linda and Jay? Great, okay, good, okay. You going to read? You kind of raise your hand a little bit. Great, okay, go ahead.
Moses said to the Eternal, "See, you say to me, lead this people forward, but you have not made known to me whom you shall send with me. Further, you have said, I have singled you out by name, you have indeed gained my favor. Now, if I have truly gained your favor, pray let me know your ways, that I may know you and continue in your favor. Consider, too, that this nation is your people." And God said, "I will go in the lead and will lighten your burden." And he replied, "Unless you go in the lead, do not make us leave this place. For how shall it be known that your people have gained your favor unless you go with us, so that we may be distinguished, your people and I, from every people on the face of the earth."
Okay, what do we got here? It's a nice little chat that they're having. What's going on? Okay, that's nice. Yeah, Moses is saying.
To the people rather than God talking to Moses.
What's that?
Moses is speaking to the people rather than
Yeah. Well, Moses, who's Moses speaking to? Moses speaking to God, right? Moses speaking to God. Yeah, Va'omer Moshe el Adonai. We rarely see that, right? It's usually Vaydaber or rarely Vayomer, but sometimes Vayomer. But usually it's Vayadonai or it's Vayadonai and Yadaber el Moshe le'emor, right? Usually God speaks to Moses and Moses speaks to the people. But this is Moses having a chat with God. Yeah. Who's saying that? Who's saying, "Don't tell me what to do"? Yeah. Interesting. So there's one way to look at it. Yeah, I think that's one way to look at it. One of the challenges that Moses puts to God, to sort of push at God, to say, okay, I don't disagree. I'm not sure I think I would change the phraseology slightly, just for me. But I mean, I would say, God saying that Moses is saying to God, you keep telling us to do these things, but I kind of want to do it with you because I don't know what to do, and I need you to go with me because I have to do it. Yeah.
My point was they were happy where they were, and God's telling them to go
Right, and I think the second part is also if you're going to make us go, you have to come with us, meaning your presence has to be around us for us to be able to do whatever we're going to do. Don't just say go if you're not coming with us, right? Okay, anything else in this section? Anyone struck by this lovely concept that they're just chatting? That God's just chatting with Moses? Yes, Rabbi?
I'm curious if you could explain why God says in verse 14, okay, I'll go in the lead and lighten your burden. And Moses then says, like he did here, unless you go and believe, people aren't going to know that we gave your favor. So is Moses not listening well to God? He always tells him he's going to go in and lead.
Well, okay, that's a great question. I think I have an answer, but I'll be rabbinic. I can ask you, Rabbi. What do you think? How do you interpret this section? Come on, what do you think? I don't think he asked him to repeat it. I think that he's asking that it's now the conversation changes from the two of them, and now Moses needs help to transfer the concept to the people. Say, I'm not going to do this. I don't think it's him not understanding. I think it's him saying, let's transfer it now together so that other people will understand what you're saying and not just me. Because they're not going to understand me. I need you to help me so that we can explain it to the people. So I don't think that it's him not understanding. But I usually defend Moses, but I'm usually a Moses defender. But yes. Now I can ask you, Rabbi, what do you think?
I think Moses doesn't have yet the confidence in God that God is going to fulfill everything he says, because he keeps going back whenever the people rebel, revolt, don't listen, whatever it is. God gets angry, and God becomes almost like a temperamental child. And I think Moses is trying to pin him down, if I could use that kind of argument.
Oh, because okay, that's nice to say. Oh no, I'm going to go. But are you coming too? Are you coming too? You're saying in sort of like in a nervous, not sure the relationship is solidified yet, not sure he can do it yet.
Kind of making him reiterate the fact that, okay, you've given me this guarantee. Now tell me again that that's what you're going to do.
Nice, which is a nice, like a parent-child relationship too. To say, with a parent that says maybe a week prior to something, I'm going to go with you while you're doing this, and then on the day of, the child saying, you're still coming, right? And the parent saying, yeah, I said I was coming. I said I was coming with you. Don't worry. But the reiteration of the child to be like, oh, right, you're still doing this because I'm not doing it by myself. You're still coming with me to do whatever I'm going to do. So okay, that's really nice. You're giving some positive nodding.
I was going to use the same word, the reiteration idea.
Okay.
Like, because of the statement, unless. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like not consequential, but yeah, somewhat. It's like, well, unless you do, don't expect me to go through with it.
Uh-huh.
So.
What we don't know is the nuance of the conversation, right? Is it the child like, but you're coming too, right? Or is it you're coming too, right? Like what's the we don't know what the tone is. And by the way, I think the text is brilliant because it's really confusing. It's nice and confusing on who's talking to who. For a minute, it's kind of nice too because it makes you wonder who's talking to who. I think that your version is better than mine because mine says he in every single section. He with a capital H and he with a lowercase h. He. But yours, I bet, is not doesn't call God he, right? Yours called God or the eternal. The eternal. Okay. Yeah.
I see this more as him saying, with reiterating, saying every time from now until forever, you want us to leave, please don't go, please stay with us, so that we can continue to be distinguished from every other people on earth, as he says later on in verse 16. So this is him kind of saying beyond this time, always, whenever we go somewhere, because he knows that the journey's going to be long to get to Israel. Once he's there, there's going to be
Nice. So maybe it's an eternal, like a forever question. Please, you're going to stay with us those whole way, right? Please, right? And I think that the last part is very interesting. I think it's uncharacteristic of Moses. It seems a little more Jacob to me, actually. I mean, Jacob's nowhere in this picture, but this sounds, because Jacob was very smart at, what's the term? Making you feel very important. He was very good at. He was very opportunistic, and I think that last part sounds like, if you're not with us, how are people going to know and distinguish us from the people? It just sounds like, what a great idea if you came with us. It just sounds like a little bit of a Jacob-y sort of, little bit of a tricky statement, but Moses isn't like that. So it's interesting that Moses says it in that way, because I find it a little bit, it sounds like Jacob talking, but it's definitely not. It's Moses. Yeah, 1, 2. Go ahead. Which one? Yeah. That's nice. Okay. For just a connection of now this partnership is strengthened between us and God. So God's with us. Okay. Nice. Harry, and then Dr. Engineer Bob. Okay, great.
I'm seeing it less of a parent-child relationship than a partnership relationship. And one partner is not convinced that the other partner is going to follow through on what the promise was.
Okay. And that's what Rabbi Silvers was saying, I think.
That Moses is not convinced that God is truly going to follow through. It's like he's pontificating. And okay, well, it's, you're an anti-Semite innocent said it's 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration.
Yeah.
This gets into perspiration.
Okay. Nice. Okay. Yeah.
So, I come every week and try to see what we're learning here and how it affects life. So what I see here is what happens very frequently in my business world. People lose, they lose what the mission is, what we're trying to do. Moses is losing his confidence in God. He's losing perspective of what he's supposed to be doing. He's pushing back on God because he wants more clarity. He wants to be retold what they're supposed to do. And if we go as we read it further, we'll see that God picks up on it and he's actually encouraging Moses to
Yes.
see the light and go on the path.
Yes.
Every day in business is happening. People that have a task to do, they lose track of what it is and push back on what the task is and not on the objective that they're trying to get to at the end. It's kind of like a funnel coming to the point. And you've got all this stuff going around the funnel and they lose track of how important they're doing to get to it.
But sometimes, don't people also need that reassurance that they're not, that they want to make sure that they're on that right path? Right. So that, yeah. That you need that check, that check. So we will find out, by the way, in 17, and we're going to get there. We're going to find out in 17 that God picks up on whatever with the situation we're defining here for ourselves is going to get fixed in 17, because God's going to say, okay, I understand you want my presence, and you got it, and it's going to be fine now. It's going to be better, but just for us, just get the nuance here just before it.
That's what I was trying to say, is that that's where the leadership comes from, and how you make the group stronger by having clarity, being able to get them to be focused on what the mission is that they accomplish. The mission here is we're doing a journey, we're doing it together. Moses has been selected as the leader. He's getting a lot of pushback, so now he's pushing back. And God's opportunity now is to give him clarity as we pass it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's what's beautiful about this, again, because I'm a Moses lover, I think it's interesting that we have a little bit of a focus on just Moses right now. It's very rare that we had like the epic birth story of Moses, but then Moses just becomes the leader. We presume that he's just leading and he's fine. We find out all the other troubles the Israelites are doing, and we don't come back to Moses. this is where we get a little bit of a speck of a Moses focus to check in with him, because he's done a bunch up until now. He's had a rough road already up until now, and now maybe he needs a little bit of a check-in and reassurance of what the plan is, even though we think Moses is rock solid, because, I mean, look what he's done so far. The plagues are over, the seas parted, he's dealt with the beginning of the whining. He's already. Look, we're just past the golden calf. So he's dealt with a lot of trouble already. Yeah, Rabbi.
There's a very similar sense to when God told Abraham that he was going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, and Abraham kind of bargained with God to get God to come up with this ultimate plan and decision that he wouldn't destroy it if they could find 10 righteous people. But this is Moses doing the same kind of thing with God, in bargaining with him and trying to get him to commit to something maybe beyond where God was originally in terms of with this people. He wants him more. He wants assurances from God that he's going to get what's best for him and the people from God. So he's kind of he's bargaining, but at the same time he's kind of calling God out to help him make that commitment that he's going to go forward. He's going to show himself to Moses. He's going to give Moses that ultimate guarantee that he's looking for.
Hmm.
I see it very similar, that just as how it's written in Genesis between God and Abraham, here with Moses too. Again, we know how Abraham was the person that God picked, and here we see Moses is the person God picks, and yet the person God ultimately picks has to be does an even better job, if you will, than maybe what God originally thought. The person that God has chosen shows his chops. Abraham takes God on with Sodom and Gomorrah, and Moses here takes God on with his commitment that he's going to show his true colors to Moses, that he's going to then know that he's got this partner moving forward.
How do we feel about that in terms of God, though? Are we okay with God being in this position? Yeah?
I think it's a great lesson in leadership for those at the very top, to be willing to accept that maybe you didn't get it right. And when you listen to somebody else, that perhaps you can change your plan and do something better. So, I think it's a lesson in listening.
For God, you mean? For God.
God is still learning.
Okay. Nice. Yeah?
I think that Moses is looking for God to be supportive. Use that word.
Yeah.
That I'm behind you.
Yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah, I definitely think that Moses is looking for just a supportive word that I got you. Yeah. Yeah.
It's also noted that he just snatched the first set of tablets and just went back on the table. Just went back and added 29.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, let's also think about all the incidents that have occurred up until now. Exactly. And this is not the first time, too, because God gets upset also when the people get upset that there's no water right after the sea closes. The sea closes and they're dancing and they're free, and the first thing they say when they're free was, "We're thirsty." Right? And God gets upset there and says, "Really? Come on, I brought you all the way here, and the first thing you say is you're thirsty?" And Moses there says, "Oh, no, let's just give them some water, it'll be fine." Right? So this is not the first time that Moses steps in to try to calm God, let's say, to calm God down. Yeah. You say something? Yeah.
I see Moses really humble himself here. He seems to be asking himself, who am I to be leading these people? I need some help. It sounds to me like he's pleading for some guidance as to
Yeah. I think there's some I think there's some pleading, sure, for God's assurance. I also wonder in this little nuance of how the language is that I keep thinking that Moses certainly needs the assistance, but Moses is getting it, and I think Moses is also asking God for the tools to help the people see it. Because I don't know if he thinks the people are seeing it as clear or have the ability to connect with God in the same way that Moses is, which is why I think this little chat that they're having is so brilliant. It's amazing that they're having this little chat here, that Moses and God are just chatting. And God's part of the chat. God's listening, particularly when we get here in that 17. Anything else in this little section before we carry all these thoughts into 17, verse 17? No? All right, please.
And the Eternal One said to Moses, I will also do this thing that you have asked, for you have truly gained my favor, and I have singled you out by name. He said, oh, let me behold your presence. And God answered, I will make all my goodness pass before you, and I will proclaim before you the name eternal, and the grace that I grant, and the compassion that I show. Continuing, but you cannot see my face, for a human being may not see me and live. And the Eternal said, see, there is a place near me. Station yourself on the rock, and as my presence passes by, I will put you in a cleft of the rock and shield you with my hand until I have passed by. Then I will take my hand away, and you will see my back, but my face must not be seen.
Okay, so how does God respond? So how does God, yeah, Rabbi?
This is brilliant.
Brilliant.
This is really brilliant because Moses is pushing against God to get something.
Yeah.
And God, being God, ultimately, even though God picks these great leaders like Moses and Abraham, God is kind of acquiescing to Moses, but God still says, I'm still the Lord.
Yeah.
And I'm only going to give you this much.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a little, but I ain't going to give you everything because I'm the Lord and I'm the guy and I'm in charge. So this is brilliant. God's acquiescing to Moses, but at the same time, he's still proclaiming his infallibility and his godliness over Moses and everything else.
Yeah. Yep. He definitely gives him a gift. He definitely reassures him. He definitely makes him feel better. But you're right. And says, I'm going to give you a little something. You want something? I'm going to give you a little something. You're going to see my back. I'm going to shove you in this spot in the rock, and you're going to see the back of me. Which, by the way, also is pretty impressive, because that's still pretty impressive. Yeah, I'm gonna cover you up so that you don't see my front, essentially. But as I pass by you, you'll see this. You'll see my back. Yeah. Yes, certainly gets more than anyone else does, ever, certainly. There's a great commentary here that says it's also a brilliant move by God to remind us that only God knows what's coming first. We know what's coming after, that humanity doesn't understand what the real plan is, that we only see the back of God. We only see the back half. We are only reacting to things. We don't know what's coming. Right? We don't know what's going to happen in an hour. God does. But we feel the back of the presence of God in that concept, in this passing by that we see. We never get to see the front, we see the back. We see whatever the ultimate transaction is. Anything else on this section? Of this really nice, cool concept where Moses actually sees God. Where God says, I got you, I hear you, we're in this together, and I'm going to put you right here, and you'll see my back and never my face. Anything else? So here's my, yeah?
So it says, human being cannot see my face.
Yes.
So for the tabernacle, and then in the temple, Holy of Holies, the presence of God, and the high priest can enter and before. They don't see the face of God.
No.
Facing.
They don't necessarily see anything. They just feel the presence of God. They follow the rules. They might feel the presence of God. I mean, we often feel the presence of God. Don't you sometimes feel it, but you don't see it, or, right? I mean, you can sometimes feel God in nature, or feel God in a moment, or feel God in a sunset, or see God in someone you love, or see a birth, and you think that God's presence, or you can see all of that in this godliness. But I don't know if you ever see God, and I don't know if the priests ever got to see that. Only Moses. That's why Moses is Moses. Yeah, Rabbi?
There's something, because I remember the text, I believe, says above the cover between the two cherubim, that's where God's presence will appear to you. I think that's how it's worded in Exodus to Aaron and Moses. So I think they must have seen something, clearly something that was the presence of God, but not necessarily God's face.
Right.
But I believe there was something that said, my presence will appear above the cover of the ark between the two cherubim.
I think the presence of God. I mean, the presence of God also appears in the desert, because there's fire and there's a cloud. So yeah, so God's presence is there for us. Something is there to show us that God is there, but no one gets to see God in the way that Moses got to see God. But there's the presence is repeated in different ways. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question to that. If we can't see God's face and live, does that imply that we see his face after death?
Maybe, right? That's the question. So, don't know. It's just that's the opposite of what the statement is. Yeah.
In 12 and 17, it's reiterated about being singled out by name and gaining favor. Those are the same words they used at the bush when you revealed. I'm just wondering why there's so much repetition.
I don't remember exactly what's at the phrase of the probably singled out. I think this is not the first time the singled out is used, by the way. I think the singled out is also used for Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I think it's also singled out. But I think maybe in the dialogue, if we're going to go along with the reassurance, this is a nice thing to hear. It's a nice thing to hear that I picked you. I picked you. Don't worry, I picked you, right? For this big task. Yes. Good. Any other? Yeah.
I was struggling to figure out why this parsha is chosen.
Yeah. Yes. So we're going to just read that one section now. Yeah, we'll read it just so everyone's comfortable. Now you know why we read this section. So if you jump, this is how we're going to end. You'll just see here it is. If you jump to 34:17, actually it's 34:18. Sorry, 34:18. You'll see this is why particularly this section is picked. This is how we can end our study.
But I mean, even 34:1, God tells Moses, "You can bring me 2 tablets, I'll carve them out."
Yeah.
I mean, that's my time Torah thing. When he gives them the 10 commandments.
Yep. So you see on 34:18, you shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, eating unleavened bread for 7 days, as I have commanded you, at the set time of the month of Aviv. In the month of Aviv, you went out forth from Egypt. So there is the line that makes the most sense why we read this. And it tells us to eat matzah. It says it. It says matzot in here. So that's why we have to eat that cardboard for 7 days. Or 8 days if you're conservative-ish or more traditional. I forced myself to do the 8 days. 34.
6 and 7, we have the prayers that we sing.
Yes, those are the attributes. Yes, those are all the attributes. So that's why we read this section. It goes on to say, by the way, this is also why we treat the first day as a holiday, right? It reminds there's a little Shabbat reference in verse 21. So this is why we picked this special section. Here's my last question for us to think about. We read this we just read about this beautiful presence and this connection that God has with Moses, and it's so lovely and it's so perfect, and it sits right in the Chol HaMoed section. It's so lovely and so great, and it's meaningful, and however we wanted to make this connection, and we find out that Moses even sees the presence of God somehow, actually physically sees the presence of God, all this stuff. So my question for you is, why in the Haggadah is Moses not mentioned? Where is he mentioned? Where?
In the story.
Oh, all right. I don't think he's mentioned at all.
One time. Huh?
I don't think he's mentioned at all.
It's in the story. I can find it for you.
In a traditional Haggadah?
Uve Moshe.
Yeah. All right.
Uve Moshe. Yeah.
I don't.
In the
I don't think so.
Magid.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't think he was mentioned at all.
It's at my Passover Seder since I'm a kid. My father always asked me, and we always had to search for where it was, and it says Uve Moshe.
Well, is in your which Haggadah do you use?
Traditional, huh?
Is it the Uve Moshe copy?
Give me a Haggadah. I'll show you. I'll show it to you.
I don't think that it's in there, but all right. So regardless, it is not really about Moshe. Even in Uv Moshe, it's not really talking about Moshe. It has to be it's in passing. So the question remains: if we have this great, beautiful connection, we're sitting here and discussing it on Pesach, and yet a couple of days ago we sat through a Seder, and let's just say Moses' presence is not in the Seder. I mean, it's just not. Whether his name is there, which I'm not sure about, but if it is, fine. Then great. Then I did not know. Then
Next Shabbos, he's gonna say like.
it's possible. It's possible. I'll look to the Magid. Then it's still in passing. Really, nothing about the Seder is about Moses. Nothing.
It's all about God's various attributes, outstretched arm and all.
Yeah, but there's all these other sections about Pesach, Matzah, and Maror, and all these rabbis are talking in the middle of it, and all that stuff. How come there's no Moses? Of this like beautiful presence, we just everything's like Moses, yeah, but nothing, yeah.
So we are supposed to not just read the story and learn from the story, we're supposed to picture ourselves physically in Egypt
Okay.
during the Seder.
Yes.
So perhaps not mentioning Moses is supposed to strengthen the bond between us and God without any intermediary.
Okay.
Story, as if we're in the shoes of an Israelite experiencing the plagues ourselves, experiencing the Nile turning to blood without any prior explanation.
Very nice. That's a very, very nice explanation. I think probably that is one of the explanations that the rabbis used when they wrote the Haggadah and didn't put Moses in it. But I think that's a very good because they didn't. But the story exists because of him, you think, in the Haggadah? It doesn't say that in the Haggadah. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you because I love Moses, but it's not in the Haggadah though, and not any Haggadah. There are now 43,000 Haggadot, but that you can buy one. You can buy a Harry Potter one, but yeah.
Telling of the story if there were no story.
Right.
And
The story is that I think that maybe the point was made that there's the intermediary shouldn't be there because who wrote the Haggadah, by the way? The rabbis. So I think the rabbis wanted to either make God the hero or slightly themselves the hero in the story, and by doing that, they remove the biblical part from it as much as they could and to have a different document, because the Haggadah is a very different document. So, yes? The word that he made up? Moshe. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Well, now we're going to check. Everyone's going to check now.
It's gonna be wonderful.
It's possible it's in there. I've never seen it. Yeah, maybe you're right. Yes.
Rabbi, just to bring this here a little bit further, it seems strange to me that only the Reconstructionist movement went so far as to bring Moses' family into the Passover Seder when they introduced the cup for Miriam.
Yes, that's true. Well, that's all modern stuff. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are the Haggadah that we used for second night Seder has Moses all over it because it mentions his name and asks questions and talks about it. So Moses is in the Haggadah, just not in when I'm talking about the origin text, the actual text of the Haggadah. Different Haggadot have added, like I said, there are thousands of Haggadot now that you can get. I think it's literally thousands. There's short ones and long ones and pretty ones and big ones, and different rabbis write them, and there's children's ones and whatever, and families. So people have put Moses into the story all over the place, but in the actual text, he's either mentioned once or he's not mentioned at all. So, and if he is mentioned the one time, like I said, he's certainly not a focal point at all of what the Haggadah is trying to do. So I wanted to leave that with all of us to think of how deeply we went. Yes?
From the Masorti movement from the UK, it says Moses' name appears explicitly in the section of the Haggadah in which Rabbi Yossi argues that since the figure of God was used to inflict 10 plagues, now that the hand of God was raised against the Egyptians, they actually suffered 50 plagues of deceit. And here's the verse. It says, "And when Israel saw the great hand which the Lord had wielded against the Egyptians, the people feared the Lord, they had faith in the Lord and his servant Moses." But it says, some Yehonim, they cut out the last part of the quote
Oh.
of the Midrash, and it doesn't appear in the Haggadah.
Oh. All right, so who's the rabbi? It's Yossi, you said?
Rabbi Yossi.
All right, so now I'll look at my Haggadot and see. I'll check if my Haggadot have Yossi.
That they're alluding to, and again, some Haggadah cut it off before
Oh, interesting. Okay.
faith in God and his servant Moses.
Okay. What's that? Yes. It's true. It's true. So maybe that's why the rabbis don't focus on him at all, because it's really not about that. It's about the freedom that we get to share. It's about the story, right? It's about that one line, right? We always say the most important line in the whole Haggadah is to say that you have to feel like you are the one who was freed. That's the job of the Seder. The job of the Seder is to sit there, to do all the wine and the story of the children and all that stuff. But ultimately, if you don't sit there and you don't realize that you're free actually, and that you went through that system, then it's meaningless. So nice. Ooh, fun. We'll check out all the Haggadot and check out if it's in a certain Haggadot and certain not. Nice. Fun. I love that stuff. It's good. All right. Nice. All right. We are going to, what are we going to do? We're going to do Mishaberach. We're going to do Mishaberach. If you are thinking of someone and you would like to mention their name, please mention their name at this time. Greg, you're on the Zoom, so go ahead. You go first.
Yes, thank you. Good job. Irma Jacob, Mark Horowitz, Jerry Cruz. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stephen Seltzer, Annette Capello, and Jane Westlaw.
Mishberach is on 253. Mishberach Avotenu v'Imotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah וברך את החולים הקדוש ברוך הוא ימלא רחמים עליהם להחלימם ולרפאותם ולהחזיקם וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף השתה בגלה בזמן קריב ונאמר Amen. May the one who bless our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and spirit, as together we say, Amen. We're going to return the Torah to the Ark, 256, and together we stand.
Yehallelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado hodo al eretz v'shamayim vayarem keren le'amo tehila lechol chasidav livnei bnei Yisrael am kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Eitz chaim hi lama chazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar diracheha darchei noam וכל נתיבותיה שלום, השיבנו אדוני, אליך ונשובה, חדש, חדש ימינו, חדש ימינו,
Last day Pesach festival service will be on Wednesday at 10 a.m. in this very room. It will include Yisker. After that, what's after that? The choir is going to be singing. Yes, the choir is going to be singing. Well, what's the thing immediately after that? There's a lot of things that are. Right, so we'll be observing Yom HaShoah and learning about Yom HaShoah starting actually this coming Friday. Our member and Holocaust survivor Sam Ron and his wife Bilha will be at services Friday night. We're also going to be opening our Yad Vashem exhibit. It's going to be in the Rotunda starting that Friday, so you're welcome to come and see the exhibit. And it's an exhibit that is inspired by the words and actions of Janusz Korczak, who was the person who ran the orphanage. And his whole story is sort of unfurled, and the story of children is unfurled in this really beautiful exhibit. So that'll be on display in the Rotunda, like I said, and then we'll be having different times in the days following. So I think that the Sunday following. So there's Friday is the opening of the exhibit, and Sam Ron's going to be speaking. Sunday, her name is Montana Tucker. Montana Tucker is going to be at noon. So Sunday at noon, Montana Tucker will be speaking. She is a social media activist, and she has roots with her family who are in Auschwitz, and she used her sort of ability as a social media activist to document and speak about her time and went to visit Auschwitz, and she's going to be coming to speak about that actually on Sunday at noon. You're welcome to join us for that. And then Tuesday evening, which is Erev Yom HaShoah, we'll be doing a tekes, we'll be doing our ceremony. So lots of opportunities for us to learn about and and participate in memorializing Yom HaShoah. And then Cantor's class is coming up, but it's full, so if you're not registered already, unfortunately, there's no room for Cantor's class that's coming up. Concert is April 29th, which there are still spots available for the cantorial concert. Yeah, and a bunch of other stuff that's coming up too. That was a good number of announcements, I think. Yeah. Aleinu can be found on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגאור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים, לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We transition our thoughts now to Kaddish Yotom, to Mourner's Kaddish, 294. If there is a name that you're thinking of and you wish to share their name, please share their name at this time. (294) Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'amad yivrach riutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei l'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'emru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulme'olmaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ah v'yitomam v'yitnaseh, v'yitada v'yitale v'yitala shmei l'kudesha brichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran ba'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlomo Rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav,
hu ya'aseh shalom
aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru.
Amen.
May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, as together we say, amen. Please be seated. We conclude this morning with
Oziv Zimratiyah.
Oziv
Which is on
Zimratiyah.
page 343. No. 340. I just had it. Oh yeah. Bottom of page 343. Oziv Zimratiyah. Vaili Lishua Ozi Vezimratya 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 Vaili Lishua.
Adonai Oz Lamo Yiten, Adonai Varech Tamo Vashalom. May God give strength unto our people. Continue to bless us with hope and strength and love and peace. Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and Chag Sameach.